Hello everyone, welcome back to another video here. So of course we have some good old classic Destiny 2 Twab time. Now I have not seen everything yet. Of course this is the place where I will be talking about the live stream and whatnot. Not gonna be watching the trailer here. I'm gonna assume that y'all have seen it. Um, I'm also gonna kind of assume y'all have at least skimmed through the the live stream or watch it, so I'm not going to be too in depth. But I feel like it's pretty obvious. Solo ops, Fireteam ops, Pinnacle, Crucible. Um, Gambit, I don't know where it's at though, but obviously you have your quick launch playlist. I'm not going to go into modifiers and that whole shebang, but you do launch the expansion on the top left here. I'm going to assume that when this does leave, I'm assuming, like, at least when Renegades happens, I'm assuming that this Edge of Fate thing is going to be in the World tab. So yeah, there's a live stream. Ride of the Nine, final update. Um, Nanograms. I have not had anything that drops outside of the Everson pool, but if y'all do, put it in the comments. I have heard that it does drop. Um, so that's nice, I guess. The new challenge appears. Okay. Complete from July 4th through 6th. Complete Prophecy on Eternity mode as fast as you can. Complete Spiral of the Watcher. You can win prizes such as silver. Okay, well that's nice. That's nice for speedrunners. That's interesting. So that's nice. World's first race. Ooh, that's a clean emblem. That's a clean emblem. Guys, we have a new raid ready for July 19th, and you know what that means? There will be a world's first race. Of course, CB Gray and Evan F are hosting their raid zone. But of course, y'all could pull up to the stream. I will be streaming that day. This is also where I'm going to mention stream changes, that sort of deal. So, when this video goes out, I may or may not be streaming Stellar Blade. Because I think I have figured it out finally, and there was a patch that made it a little bit easier to tell what was going on. Tomorrow, Friday, I might stream Possible. I will probably stream that day. I have no idea yet. Saturday, stream is going to be early. Stream is going to be from 3 p.m. Eastern Time to 6 p.m. Eastern Time. Mostly due to one, I actually get off an hour earlier, but two, I have day one raid practice quite a bit later, and I gotta hop off for dinner to eat some food or whatnot before the raid. As far as the actual release of the expansion goes, Tuesday I work second shift, so I will not be on at all. However, I have Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, like I have Wednesday through the Monday off, so I'll be streaming every single day, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. Like the whole time I'm playing Destiny, so pull up to the stream, so y'all know what's up. Bungie, I guess, is gonna be at GCX. But I just say this is one of the most cleanest looking Day One emblems. Because I will say, the Salvation's Edge one is, because the Day One is the red spiral one, if I remember correctly, and not the actual cool looking one. Vow the Disciple, both emblems, I'm not a huge fan of how they look. Deepstone Crypt's emblems are kind of just mid. So it's been a while since we've had a great day one emblem, and I feel like that's also how it's good. Brief. Okay, I don't get the point of these, but Jetpack Fallen, I just don't know. This is more of Bife's thing, but I'm also concerned with weapons tuning for the Edge of Fate. So machine guns. We're trying out something new for Destiny on machine guns. Staged reloads? Machine guns generally have a very long reload animation times that can be very punishing when cancelled. Yes. We have added several checkpoints from which the animation can now be resumed if it is interrupted mid-reload. Oh, that's interesting. When a player cancels a reload, the animation starts again and resume from the latest checkpoint. Okay, that's interesting. That's interesting. So it seems like when you do the whole reload animation, If you stop partway through, instead of it just not giving you any ammo, it'll give you some of it, I'm guessing. Um, or maybe not. Or maybe not. Okay, this is a little bit weird. I just think machine guns, machine guns need some reload help. Glaives, the projectile changes for Glaives and Heresy have been generally positive for the archetype, but ended up opening a small window where it was actually a nerf to the weapon's projectile and performance, particularly at short range in PvP. Reduced projectile strength at very close range to avoid a behavior that made projectiles less accurate. That's interesting. It's interesting, I guess. Okay, reconstruction. Okay, has been underperforming on non-rocket launcher weapons since the nerfs to increase the time it needs to start refilling the weapon's mag. This I agree with. I feel like reconstruction was that not a massive issue on even rockets, because generally speaking, you're going to reload your rocket manually after that. Increase the amount of time transfer per activation from 10% to 25%. This mostly hit like machine guns. This majorly hit machine guns. Because at least before the nerf to reconstruction, my commemoration could really do some sustained DPS like very solidly, and then after the nerf, it was I had to reload part of the way through. So that does massively help machine guns and even more higher ammo stuff. So that's great. That's a great change. Paracausal affinity, add a visible timer to the buff. That's nice. I don't use this. Kinetic Tremors feels good to use on faster firing weapon frames, but it can underperform on a bit on slow firing ones. Yes. Decrease shots to activate certain weapons and subfamilies. I wish this was like what weapons and from subfamilies. High impacts requires 9 hits down from 12's high impact auto just need a flat out damage buff. No one's gonna use that shit. Aggressive and high impact scouts, 5 down to 6. Okay. Scouts and autos in general need a buff. Hand cannons have received specific tuning. Aggressives require 4 hits down from 6. Adaptives require 5 down from 6. Precisions are untrained and still require 6 shots to activate. I don't know what Fatebringer is. Isn't no Fatebringer's not a precision fame, right? I don't know. Anyways, these sound like decent changes. These sounds like decent changes. 1-2 punch now works with all melee abilities. Perk activation time increased from 1.22 seconds to 3 seconds. Here's my concern with 1-2 punch. Okay, and this is where I'm gonna mention a little bit of time shenanigans. Okay, with 1-2 punch right now, there is zero reason to enhance it. There's no reason to enhance 1-2 punch. There isn't, and that's no ifs, ands, or buts. Nada, because it does get consumed when you actually fire the melee. Like once you get that melee off, it's done. It's not a buff that lasts. It only lasts for one melee charge. So the problem with using this with and some benefit to using this and Wishful Ignorance, the Strand Titan arms, is when you melee, when you shotgun and melee first, it'll buff that first shot, but the second and third shots, I'm guessing, are going to be slightly weaker than the first shot, and then the fourth will be on par. I just don't see a reason to not just, like, it makes the exotic useless. However, this to 3 seconds does impact, Bastion, I believe, because Bastion, I believe, does not get consumed on melee charge. It doesn't last long enough for me to really test this accurately. At least on Titan, I can't test this. So I'm definitely going to have to test it once Final Shape happens to see does that buff last. Because if it lasts 3 seconds, it should at the very least last for the first 2 melee charges. If not the third one, and if that's the case, that's going to be kind of insane. So, and that's going to basically mean make Bastion ridiculously useful for Strand Titan, which is kind of an interesting choice, I'm not going to lie. Attrition Orbs are currently too powerful on, yes, I agree, arrow denial grenade launchers, but is somewhat underwhelming on other weapon types. Increase perk progress by 20% across the board, reduce perk progress by 80%. This is surprisingly not as noticeable as it sounds. That also means it's barely getting buffed. Increase perk progress by an additional 30% on swords. I never thought about using attrition orbs on a sword. Huh, I mean, if you got attrition orbs on a, like, I guess attrition orbs and then, the thing is, the only sword I use for DPS is Lament. Um, I guess attrition orbs and not Vorpal, but I guess no. Well, I guess Bane Switch would work technically, but you have to have a you have to have an aerial denial. You just have to have one. Hmm. I don't like Bane Switch on swords, generally speaking. Whirlwinds are pretty. Oh, Whirlwind. That's right, Whirlwind. Oh, attrition orbs Whirlwind would probably go ham. Hold on a second. Let's think about that for a second. Whirlwind and attrition orbs could go ham. Huh, okay, that's gonna be something to look into. Eager Edge, bruh, and Valiant Charge. Please do not nerf Eager Edge. Eager Edge, aggressive target. Tracking presents two problems. It makes it more frustrating to use this perk for mobility PvE. Absolutely. It makes it somewhat oppressive in PvP. Valiant Charge has similar issues. I don't know what that perk does. It can track to an attack. Okay. While active, melee search angle is now reduced by 50% at the start of the lunge range, and by 88% at the end of the lunge range. Okay, this requires the player to look more at their target to strike it, improve a specific target acquisition. Finally! Finally! like, holy shit. I think the only way to avoid Eager Red from not, like, tracking to an enemy that's just fucking sideways was you had to look straight up at the ceiling to use it. That was annoying. I'm glad that's being fixed. Chain reaction. Please, please buff chain reaction. As fun as the chain reaction hashling interaction is, it is inconsistent with other perk combinations, which are generally not allowed to chain explosions together. I didn't know that interaction existed. Threat links created by weapon perks will no longer activate the detonation from chain reaction. Interesting. That's interesting. I didn't know that. Okay, chain reaction, dragonfly, and firefly. Okay, before I read this, in my opinion, these just need to get condensed into one perk. Into one perk. Especially, there's no reason to have firefly, in my opinion. When dragonfly exists, I think chain reaction, dragonfly, firefly should just be smashed together and be souped up in a way. These perks currently deal different amounts of damage to different targets based on the type of weapon that activates the perk. In many cases, this makes these perks even worse on weapons that do not use them well in the first place. Shotguns. It'll be harder to get a precision gun with an SMG. That's true than is a hand cannon, but dragonfly also deals less damage. Why? What? I didn't know this. What the fuck? Okay. Chain reaction, Dragonfly, Firefly no longer use weapon archetype scaling against Cabens and instead use a new perk damage scaling that is more normalized between different weapon types. Interesting. This buffs many weapons with these perks against most targets. Here's some of the biggest winners. Fusion rifles deal 40% more damage to chain reaction. Okay, that's interesting. So SMGs. I'm still not really going to use Dragonfly on this, though. Oh, yes! Auto rifles deal 47% more damage with Dragonfly to minor combatants. Okay, that's actually kind of buff for the new Arc Auto Rifle. Well, that's in Route of the 9. Because that can get Dragonfly on it. Linears, Chain Reaction. Who the fuck's going to use this? No one's going to use it. Ooh, swords deal 123% more chain reaction damage to minor combatants and at least 193% more chain reaction damage to all other combatants. Okay, that's interesting because there is a strand sword that's vortex frame. It consumes a fuck ton of ammo, but chain reaction is a little bit weak on it. But light attacking is going to be even stronger now. That's cool. In the interest of transparency, we want to call out 3 instances where this perk. Oh no, I already saw something I don't like. Nerf. Of at least 5% decreased damage. Hand cannons, wow, deal less Dragonfly Firefly damage to major combatants. Okay, sniper rifles deal 8% less. That's not that bad. Special ammo waveframe grenade deal 6% less. Why? 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 No, why? They didn't need to get nerfs further. What? Okay, Forbearance is dead. At this point, I'm gonna call it here. Forbearance is dead. Forbearance is dead. Forbearance is dead. I'm calling it now. Forbearance is dead. That's rough. Forbearance is dead at this point. Season 20 to 20, we added yada yada yada. Champion interaction. The champions that have been added. We quickly realized these weapons have issues when paired with anti-champ effects. To prevent erratic behavior, we barred certain exotics from gaining external anti-champion abilities. It has become unclear to the player which exotic weapons are excluded, so we decided to address this issue formally. We've now made certain exotic weapons, most of which apply to subclass verb through gameplay. Intrinsically anti-champion will adhere to the following soft rule from now on. Weapons that intrinsically have the anti-champion symbol cannot receive anti-chance from artifact or from radiant-like abilities. Volatile can also be included in that. Um, Otherwise, okay, that's interesting. Okay, exotic weapons. Vigilance Wing, last stand bonus, are now active when running solo in PvE activities. That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. Hierarchy of needs. Okay. Restricts the player's access too much. That's true. Players now gain charge of the Radiance Ring on any hit from Hierarchy of Needs, and now only need 3 charges. Spawn duration increased from 13 to 20. Okay. Now rotates to face its owner. Great. Players are now limited to 1 guidance ring in the world per player. Spawning a second one will remove your previous ring. Wait a second. Hold on a second. Players are not limited to 1 guidance. Interesting. So only 1 Hierarchy Needs player. All bows now spawn missiles when fire through an allied player's guardian guidance ring. All bows makes an issue with Hierarchy lit up. Oh! Oh, wait. A Hierarchy of Needs is basically Galahorn. What Galahorn is to rockets, a Hierarchy of Needs is going to be to bows. Oh, wait, Leviathan's Breath. Oh, Leviathan's Breath is going to absolutely clap. Oh my goodness gracious. I mean, oh wow, this works with exotics? Man, Le Monarch is going to go even crazier than it did before, but Tiku's Divination. Oh, Tiku's is going to be insane. I think the premier bows to use this with are going to be Wish Ender, Tiku's, and Leviathan's Breath. That's kind of crazy. That's kind of crazy. Okay, okay. DMT. Each reputation of Crucible. Yeah, it's always short on PvE. Each stack now grants 3.4% against commands. Just one run, reload it. Alright. Alright, that's pretty nice. Duality. Okay. You know what? I'll just... I'm seeing some change. Okay. Duality added a second activator on Black Wings, and now gives a buff when landing most of your pellets on a target. That's nice. Navigator. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. When the user has Woven Mail, increased damage and 25% in PvE, increased ammo regeneration stat. I'm assuming it's for the weapon specifically. I think that's pretty nice. I think that's nice. We gotta implement. Now is rapid fire. Thank goodness gracious. Now takes 1 additional hit to start slowing into freeze to account for the fast rate of fire. I think that's fine. Increase magazine size to 20, and it's now intrinsically anti-overload. That makes sense. That makes sense. That's great. Heart Shadow. Now, Heart Shadow, I love using it with Void Hunter. I love using it with Void Hunter. I think it's pretty nice. We've shifted Wicked Implement to a faster fire rate. Okay, that's interesting. Wait, no, I'm looking at the wrong thing. Increased ammo reserves. Finally, that was kind of an issue. Reduced cost of heavy ammo to attack to 3 from 4. That's also great. That's also great. Defeats while shot in the dark is active, make you visible once more. Finally! Okay, these are some great changes that increase its usability. That's great. Great. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Bungie! I'm not seeing Legend of Acria so far, but it did get changed relatively recently. But Worldline Zero has always been a fun sword to play with, but has largely fallen out of favor ever since it lost its ability to let you skate. Yes, alongside introduction of Eager Edge. To give it a more defined niche, we are leaning into its Tesseract ability, emphasize clear via rapid, nimble teleports, increase lunge distance by a little bit, remove the ability to chain 2 blink attacks back to back. Okay. Defeating a target with Tesseract allows you to Tesseract again for a short duration. These extra blink attacks cost less ammo, consume less card energy. That does nothing for Worldline. No one's going to use this shit. I don't think it really moves a needle at all for Worldline. Now, if it had chain reaction, that could go ham, but, okay. Devil's Ruin. This is an exotic I've kind of liked using, but it feels a little bit wonky, in my opinion. We have reworked the weapon to remove its fire and lease behavior, as well as making the beam mode more of a reward once it has been enabled. Removed firearm release behavior. Beam is now behind special reload. That's nice. Because an issue with Devil's Ruin is you kind of just have to hold it there before firing. So that's nice. Also made it a little bit more difficult to control. Kills with this weapon makes fire sprites, and picking up a fire sprite enables a special reload? Beam now scorches on hit and ignites on kills? Increased magazine size to 20 is now intrinsically anti-unstoppable. Because I believe beforehand it was the anti-barrier. Ooh! Oh man, Devil's Ruin. I really want to mess with. Devil's Ruin now. Oh, Devil's Ruin. Oh, especially with like the new Titan bonk too. It depends on how long the beam lasts because you could bonk, beam, recall, bonk. You know, do that sort of stuff. Oh, that's kind of sick. Tommy's matchbook, survivability, and overall usability. That's true. Okay, see what I did. General. Added a burning screen effect while the player takes self-damage. Other players who are taking self-damage from it will now have burning effects surrounding their model. Okay, I guess that's nice. Ignition trigger. The HUD buff now appears as a bar. Okay, heatsink. Hipfire self-damage decreased to 50% less damage, and ADS self-damage previously 33 less percent. Okay, catalyst. Removed improved health regen. Why? Oh, now Final Blows with Ignition Trigger is active. Oh, while Ignition Trigger is active, grant cure times one to the user. Okay. So it's essentially going to, instead of just giving you health regen, it's going to give you kills for using it. Okay. Scorch on hit is unchanged. Somebody that uses Tommy's Matchbook regularly, let me know what y'all think about this change. I will say, Axiom War Rig. This thing could go ham. Okay, then Winter Bite. Reduced enhanced melee damage. Yeah. Now intrinsically anti-overload. Okay. Okay, that is all of the exotic weapon changes? Just real quick. Vigilance Wing. Decent buff. Hierarchy of Needs. Massive thumbs up. DMT. Slight thumbs up. Duality. Undetermined. Navigator. Wicked Implement. I've seen in the game. Hard Shadow improves usability and nice buff. Worldline Zero, I think, is a negative. Devil's Ruin is going to be fun to mess with, so I think that's a positive. Tommy's Matchbook, hard to determine, but to me, on paper, this sounds pretty good, and Winter Bite's getting nerfed. Anti-champ changes. The following weapons have not been rebalanced, but have been giving anti-champ capabilities. Unstock Queensbreaker, Salvation's Grip, and Dragon's Breath. I think these are because of status effects. Salvation's Grip is interesting, though. Anti-Overload Tractor, which it already kind of did. Darcy, which also kind of did. And Two-Tail Fox is interesting, but it also kind of did by default. Conditional Finality can be anti-Overload or anti-Unstop, depending on which element is active. That's also kind of cool. I'm assuming Solar Unstop Stasis Overload? Okay. PvP stuff. Power and Edge of Fate. Refreshing power. Yeah, everybody's being reset to 10. Updated power band from 10 to 200. Power will work as it traditionally did when playing up to the previous soft cap. Soft cap basically is gonna be 200, it seems. Also content will exist. Yada yada yada. New redacted raid. While these activities won't ask you to earn more than 200 power to play at max effectiveness, they may offer rewards above 200 when played at harder difficulties. Okay. So when you get up to 200, it's going to be around tier 3 gear. Interesting. This gear is as strong as legendary, even adept versions. I have Artifice Armor. So Artifice Armor is probably, you're probably going to need tier 4 to eclipse Artifice Armor. Seasonal bonus. Okay, an Edge of Fate seasonal bonus power will now live right on your weapons and armor instead of on the seasonal artifact. Okay. I don't see the difference here. Okay. There are no longer weekly limits on how much you can progress. How much progress you can earn either. Finally! So your power can climb as long as you want to play. That was kind of an issue. I want to know more about Pinnacles, though. Seasonal bonus power? Okay. Higher tiers of armor weapons. I'm assuming tier 4 armor. Okay, well, maybe they'll get into it here. Um, to as much of a total as 450. Interesting. Total power 400 to 450. Two rewards will come out first. A new upgrade prime engrams. Okay. Okay. With the Ashen Iron major update later this season, you'll be able to earn a total power of all the way to 550. Did I not mention the right here? Okay, so it seems like, and also there's no weekly limit, so that's absolutely fantastic. Um, those who reach 500 power will be rewarded regular drops with highest tier weapons armor, tier 5. Um, that's an Ashen Iron major update. I'm assuming tier 5 armor is still going to be available when you reach probably 400, I'm guessing. So I'm guessing tier 4 armor is going to become available once you reach 300 for the power cap, and then, well, total power, and then 400 is going to be tier 5, I'm assuming. Infusion. Any upgrade modules you have safety lead can be at the start of okay, so I think max out on upgrade modules because you can reclaim them for 5k glimmer and 1 enhancement core, just a little bit of extra materials. You can infuse level into your favorite gear using a new currency unstable cores. How's this fucking different than an enhancement core? You'll still find unstable cores from a variety of sources. The primary way to acquire them, unneeded gear. Okay. How is unstable cores any different? It's not that much different than upgrade modules. Because at least back, if I remember correctly, back in the day, I want to say it was either Beyond Light or prior to that, just dismantling weapons could randomly give you an enhancer core. I mean, not enhancer, could randomly give you an upgrade module. I think you can still get them randomly in the game, but I feel like it was a little bit more common back when we still had gunsmith parts. Hmm. Ah, okay, so power progression and fire team power is account wide. So that's interesting. Okay, armor masterwork is going to be different. So I guess costs are getting changed, I guess. Okay, exotic armor. Oh, okay, that's interesting. So there's only going to be 5 masterwork levels. It's no longer going to be 10, so that's interesting. Exotic armor is also going to be 5. Safely deleted after 15th. Okay, interesting. So I guess they're depreciating all the destination stuff. Okay, activity reward changes. Onslaught has been rebuilt to be a part of the core game activity engine. It will drop new tiered rewards. That means the older gear, the Brave Arsenal, needs to be moved to a different place, so the loop will only offers a new gear. Brave Arsenal weapons will be moved to be part of Xur's wares. Only the standard non-full foil versions of the weapons will be available. So I'll no longer offer Onslaught attunement. Okay, that means I don't mind this. I don't mind this. I think some things like foil should be limited time. So if you have that special foil weapon, hold on to that. Nightfall weapons are now legacy gear. Okay. Nightfall rewards are on a knockout list until all Nightfall weapons have been unlocked. From then on, all Nightfall weapons will have a flat drop chance. GMs no longer exist. Okay. You will still experience Grandmaster difficulty just in other activities. I'm not sure how I feel about that. Ritual reward tracks have been removed. Ritual engrams have been removed. Interesting. Legacy focusing remains, but costs have been updated for Gloomer enhancement course. Okay, that's fine. Wow. Okay. Xur will not sell legendary armor in the future. That'll be being moved to Ada 1 because armor at this point is just used for cosmetic purposes. So yeah. Xur will now sell 2 exotic armor pieces per class per week. One will be from the existing pool of exotics. Misspelling there, Bungie? Misspelling here, Bungie? Has always sold. One will be from Beyond Light, Witch Queen, Lightfall, and Final Shape pools. Okay, so one paid and one non-paid. Interesting. Okay. I guess you'll continue to set catalyst if you don't have them. Zero will sell exotic class items every week, which is nice. 9 legendary weapons. Whatever. Class-specific swords are still in Zera's inventory, but will not be available every week. Brave Arsenal, Legacy. Now, oh my goodness gracious. Okay, so he's having oh wow, he has a chance to have adepts. Interesting from these previous seasons. Zora has had a long comp crucible weapons. That's that legacy. Interesting. He'll no longer sell Nightfall ciphers or the engrams or upgrade modules. Interesting. Okay, so Ada 1 will be offering up a bunch of bounties per season, per class. I'm definitely going to have to do some of them because I'm kind of curious how the raid armor is going to look. Legacy armor will cost a bunch of stuff. Okay. Ada will offer players who made it to the tower for the first time before the Edge of Fate a bundle of exotic armor tokens. Okay. Our one-time offer. No new armors will be added to this in the future, so there's no benefit to hoarding tokens. This I'm a little bit skeptical of because I'm definitely gonna hold on to mine, but mostly for exotic armor pieces that I do not already have a default role of. I really want to note Master Rahul is getting changed. There's our bounties that can be completed anywhere, no longer sends player to specific destinations. That's great. Great change. Okay, no gunsmith reputation. What is the point of even going to him then? Okay, Rahul, Cryptarch reputation ranks have been removed. Okay, so no longer need to hoard exotic engrams. No exotic armors in the Edge of Fate will be unlocked via completing the, well, new exotic innovation will be unlocked via completing the legendary campaign and not through Rahul, unlocked per class. Novel focusing for exotic armors from past expansions will be available to players immediately, no longer needed. Finally. Focusing sub menu has been reordered to put the most used screens up front. Finally, okay, that's great. That's great. That's great. No longer need to hold on to exotic engrams. Use your exotic engrams to get exotics that you want. Do not dismantle an exotic if it has a roll of 63 or under. I mean, dismantle the exotic if it has a roll of 63 or under. You're just gonna flat out get a better roll in Edge of Fate, most likely. However, if it's above, especially if it's like 67 or something like pushing it that way, make sure you hold on to it, especially if it's like a roll or something like that. A pretty good roll. Ghost mods. New stats are okay. Previous armor ghost mods will be depreciated as they no longer match the stats with armor. Okay, interesting. Okay, the ciphers are getting depreciated. Destiny 2 open access weeks. Huh? Starting July 8th, that's next Tuesday, until July 22nd, all current available Destiny 2 expansions, what? As well as all 3 episodes will be available for free on all supported platforms. The cherry on top, all the currencies, gear, title, triumphs, and cosmetic earned during open access period are yours to keep. That's a big Bungie W. Also, that emblem is pretty cool. I like that emblem. That's pretty cool. So, interesting. Here's that stuff. Okay. So if obviously you want to hop on, get all the stuff done, it's gonna be a pretty bumping time. By the way, I'm assuming it's not gonna count Edge of Fate, so there's that. However, at some point, I might update my old Guardian stuff. At some point, I might update my new Guardian stuff because that stuff is going to be completely. Doing my Guardian rank, I think 3, 4, 5. All my new light stuff, all that stuff except for Destiny 2 vocab. Destiny 2 vocab, that video is still gonna be up to date. I don't see any much changes there. However, those videos are no longer going to be. They're old already. They were recorded pre-final shape. Which, by the way, we're past a year from at this point. Just keep in mind here that stuff is not going to be up to date. So it's not going to be up to date. I might do a new light stuff in the future. I'm gonna have to use my Billy Bob account or whatever. But yeah, there's that. There's all that. That's fun. That's fun. Okay. Big things from here. Rahul, do not hold your exotic engrams. Do not hold your exotic engrams. Use them. Use them. Use them, please. Um, Thankfully, this means I can go on my warlock, use all of my exotic engrams up to try to get some certain exotic armor pieces that I might need or whatever. I will say, if you want to farm exotics as a whole, the best way to do it is going to be from episode 1 and doing those battlegrounds. From episode 1, I know it's been a long time, but so far, that's really the best way to get exotics, especially have your thing maxed out already. So once you run out of exotic engrams, get your set for the week, go run battlegrounds. Go run them. Go run episode 1 activities. Collect those materials. When you dunk them, you have a decent chance of getting a random exotic. So do those, do those, do those, do those. Hoard your exotics. Hoard them. Hoard them. And when Edge of Fate launches, I would suggest going into your vault at that point and starting to dismantle those exotic armor pieces that might not be particularly great rolls. So you can more so hyper focus on certain exotics. But that's gonna do it. That was quite a beefy twab. That was quite a beefy twab, Bungie. I was hoping a little bit more on exotic armors because it seems like not really any exotic armor is getting buffed. Nothing's getting nerfed. At least not very many. But yeah, I think if you are a warlock and you love using bows, even if you're trying to love using bows, Wicked Implement, that's the biggest change. That's the biggest change for me is Wicked Implement. That's kind of insane. And then Hard Shadow, I'm definitely gonna be using that on Void Hunter. I'm definitely gonna be using that. I can't wait. Devil's Ruin is the one I'm most excited about. I believe this exotic is getting an ornament as well. So yeah, I'm excited for Devil's Ruin. That alt fire is gonna be sick. I do hope that the speed of it will increase a little bit because it feels a little bit slow to move around as well. It just feels a little bit wonky. So I'd like when you get that, just tap beam, goes back to normal. Fire, fire, special reload, beam. Oh man, I would say this is a closer range, a little bit better version of Vex Mythoclast because, funnily enough, Vex Mythoclast does not synergize at all with any subclass verbs. It doesn't do Radiant, Scorch, Ignition, nothing. It doesn't do anything. It's so strong because of the distance, but Devil's Ruin, I am excited. I am actually excited for the exotic. Um, Also, I would not mind if Bungie said what exotics are getting catalysts, if any are getting catalysts, because I don't think Devil's Ruin has a catalyst. However, on that note, though, thanks for tuning in. Keep in mind, this upcoming Saturday stream will be from 3 to 6 p.m. instead of 4 to 7. Obviously, the week after that's going to be day 1, right? No. No. That was going to be different. Oh, yeah, that's right. So, after this week, stream is actually going to be on Friday. On that Friday instead of Saturday. Because Saturday I work a little bit later and we kind of have to situate Sunday. But it'll either be Friday for a longer period of time, or it'll be Saturday, but it'll be a later stream. It just kind of depends on scheduling and that sort of stuff. So that note, though, thanks for tuning in, and I will catch y'all on the flip side.